Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dumb and Dumbest Podcast Situation Audio Experience. I'm your host, Matt Bacon, with my beautiful, radiant, glowing, cheese-scented, balding, tall, magnificent, girthy co-host, Curtis Dewar.
That would be me.
And today we are talking about...
Well, we're going to talk about effort. Effort, and more effort. Why the silence, Matt?
What'd you say?
Said, why the silence, Matt?
No, there was no reason for my silence. I was merely basking in your radiance.
Oh, basking in my radiance. Oh, I was giving you an opportunity to talk. You didn't seize the moment, Matt.
Because I was basking.
Oh, basking. So anyways, we're going to talk about effort and why you need to act. Like, here's the thing is that one thing that Matt and I have noticed in the past, I don't know however many years I've been doing this, how many years Matt's been doing this, but a lot of people want to have success with their band, or they want to get known, but they don't want to put in the effort. And as cliche as that sounds, it's not going to work if you don't put in the effort.
Yeah. And I think it's a question of realizing, I think people realize there's no magic pill. I think there's sort of a series of booster pills, though, or like booster shots, I guess. Like, I think, like you're going to see a 500% boost if you start using hashtags effectively.
But 500% boost on
an interaction on Instagram.
But at the same time, a 500% boost if you're doing nothing is still nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's important to kind of realize is like, it's fucking hard. Like, again, I think we've talked about this before. If you are listening to this right now, where you are on the spectrum of bands is so absurdly high.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you are thinking at all about how you're going to market your band, you're already further than 95% of acts.
Probably even more than that. Probably more like 98 to 99%, to be honest.
Exactly. Now, why aren't you fucking acting on it, you fucking dumbass?
To be fair, the people that do listen to this podcast, the vast majority of them are more willing to put in the
absolutely. Work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was talking more for when we have millions of followers who go back and listen and, and bring me cigars. If you bring me cigars, I'll put your band on my radio show. Not a joke.
You're getting Gary V on, I guess.
What?
You're getting your Gary V on, I guess.
I'm getting my Gary V on. Anyway, point being, where do you see people not putting in effort? Because we talked about this right before we started. Where do you see people really missing out on where they could be putting in a lot of effort and getting a lot of traction?
There's a few places, but specifically you got as a very first thing that the cheapest method is obviously social media, because that just requires work. It doesn't really require any monetary put out unless you're doing ads, but just to get active on social media, most bands need to be putting in probably about 10 to 20 times the amount of effort and work that they're currently doing on it in order to get anywhere.
Yeah, and that's actually a good reminder, because literally as we do this, I am scheduling social media posts for one business I consult for and trying to figure out what my morning piece of content on my Instagram is going to be, because like I'm at a point now where I'm trying to come up with 3 meaningful pictures for my Instagram every day.
Yep.
Like, I'm probably just going to run something on the wedding I was just at, because I'm a nerd.
But the thing is that most bands are posting, most of them are posting like once a week.
Yeah, which is again, I'm posting 20 times a week plus 3 to 10 stories a day. So that's what? That's
a lot.
40 to, fucking 90 pieces of content a week on one platform.
Yeah, and I'm doing about the same across 3 or 4.
Exactly, and it sucks. I know. One thing I will say with regards to that is that it really doesn't work to have like one member run the Facebook and one member run the Instagram or whatever. Like, I wish it could work that way, but I've never seen the band actually pull that off.
No, and the other thing too is that as much as it sucks, is that you need to have everybody involved and also posting individually on different pages themselves as well. At least that's
Absolutely. I would argue, especially on Facebook, your individual presence is much more important than your group presence.
yeah, it can go both ways on that one, but yeah, it kind of depends. But yeah, I agree with you on that.
But by and large, and then I think it's simultaneously a thing. I had a conversation with a younger band I'm consulting for yesterday who said, who brought up the simple fact that like no one their age is interested uses Facebook. They're like, yeah, Facebook isn't something 18-year-olds have anymore.
Okay.
And so I think it's also, again, it's a question of like realizing where you need to be.
What are the demographics that they were saying for an 18-year-old, just out of curiosity?
Repeat that.
Well, sorry, I probably phrased that wrong, stupidly. What is the social media area that the 18-year-old were saying that people their age are frequenting? Did they tell you that?
Instagram. Absolutely Instagram.
Okay, that's what I thought. You didn't say that. That's why I just wanted to verify.
Yeah, and that's just sort of something you need to focus on. That's where the attention is, right? Like, anyway, so social media is one place where people don't put enough effort. Continue.
Well, there's a lot of other places, like even like ads is another thing. Like how often do you ever see bands doing ads?
And not only that, but like, appreciate that your first ad isn't going to work. Your fifth ad probably isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Like you can't I know bands who put in $20. This happened to Curtis and I the other day. A band put in $20 and got all upset that it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you put in $20 once to a new demographic and you expected to get a shirt sale out of it. Like,
it can happen, but the thing is that with advertising, you always need to go heavy on. You need to keep going with it, persist with it, not just give it after a couple of days.
Yeah, no one's fucking trying to like give you a freebie here. Like advertising isn't easy. You need to break through that market.
Yeah, 100%. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, and that sort of ties into like the next point I kind of want to segue to is like advertising yourself, which I know sounds really cheesy, but like if you're a band and you have either two options, you can either, not go to shows and not be a presence, or you can like actively make yourself a presence in your community.
Yeah.
And that's a huge place I see people not putting in enough effort is they're not actively going out to be a part of the community.
Yeah, I mean it's you got to be, what's the right word, omnipresent, like everywhere, like as much as possible. That includes going out and being online.
Yeah, like why do you think I travel so much? Like I want to stay at home with my cat.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I get huge value out of people seeing me everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a very potent market for me, is to be that guy who's like at this festival and that festival and over, under, sideways, down. Like that's important.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that.
And again, I know it's hard and I know it sucks, but that's just sort of where we're at. Like, and at the end of the day, like people bitch about this being like, oh, that's where music is in 2018. No, fuck you. It was always this way. Mm-hmm. Like, if it wasn't this, it was like having to go fucking do magazine interviews and having to go like, I don't know, do dumb promotional things. Like everyone does stuff they don't want to do that is important. Like the fucking guys in the Beach Boys still have to do signings. They're in the fucking Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get bigger than that, and that's fine. That's cool. But like, it's important to think about these things.
I agree.
Like if the fucking Beach Boys don't want to have to do everything they do, why would you expect that you can get away with something?
I agree. And all the guys that do really well at stuff, they're always actively being proactive, and they're posting on social media or going out or doing other things to make both themselves and their band or brand or whatever it is that they're doing better known, right?
Yeah.
Even like Stephen King, who's probably one of the most famous authors of all time, he's active on Twitter and active on social media like all the fucking time.
Yeah, and I'm sure Stephen King does not want to be active on Twitter all the time.
Pretty sure he doesn't. I mean, I mean, the guy's what, almost 70 years old, probably wants to sit around and read all night, right? But that's what he's doing, even though he's still one of the most famous people of all time, right?
Yeah, like I don't know anyone who like isn't active on social media who's still pushing it. Like obviously Stephen King has a cabal of super fans who will always buy what he puts out, but like outside of that 1%, it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But I mean, that's the point, is that you have to be out there and pushing and keeping yourself relevant, because that's the other thing. Like, for example, again, if you want to bring up Stephen King, is if he's not keeping his name out there continuously and talking to people and saying stuff, when his next novel pushes, it's not going to be as big, because of the fact that people forget a lot, because there's so much information overload nowadays too, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And
Definitely.
yeah, so this is just sort of where we're at. Is like, and again, it's always been that way, because like, it's just that now there's so many more people who have the potential to be famous that it's sort of evolved and sort of evolved and rotated and expanded.
Exactly. Now, and another thing too, just on the social media point, is one thing a band should do is that they should get active in groups, any type of Facebook groups, just because of the fact that the more you talk to people, the better known you are. And if you go into a group like the ones that Matt runs, the Wave Riders and the Third Ear, those ones both have a lot of well-known people that it was good to hook up with.
Exactly.
And even if you're not necessarily, what's the right word I'm looking for,
in those genres.
Yeah, even if you're not in those genres, it's still good to get those connections, because sometimes those connections can be valuable for other things. Like, I've had connections with people that I didn't think were going to work out very well because they're in a totally different business than me, that have worked out great.
Yeah.
And you always want to make sure that you're on good terms with anybody potentially that could be helpful in the future, or that you could help in the future, right?
Yeah. And again, it's also, I think, a question of like, so let's say you're a death metal band, okay? Fan bases are not discrete groups, right? Like, it's not like you're a death metal band, no one who likes stoner rock also, does it. Like, it's not like anyone who likes stoner rock. Okay, correction. It's not like if you like stoner rock, you can't like death metal.
Correct. Yeah.
It's also not like maybe you're a huge stoner rock fan and you're in a death metal band. Like, you can like, as long as the conversations are happening, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of people, but there's people who get huge value out of both the Third Ear group and the Wave Riders group, even though they're very different genres, that they're kind of approaching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing, I think, with anyone interested in any form of music. And I think that, simultaneously, a lot of the people in these groups, a lot of the active people are just music fans. And though they might be primarily a stoner rock guy and you're a death metal guy, they probably listen to Death. They probably listen to Lamb of God, or something, So like, it's not like there's no point of entry.
I agree.
And I think that's I think that's a huge thing, is that, and then simultaneously, why not just make new friends? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, is that really so hard?
Apparently.
Like, do you just not want to meet people?
Yeah.
Like, I hate everyone. I meet people. Like,
yep. Matt's like Mr. Antisocial when he's out there. He pretends to be a social butterfly, but he secretly hates everyone.
well, like, no, but seriously, like, I work from home.
Yeah.
And I live alone. Think about that. He
has no real friends.
I have Sub Rosa.
Oh, I forgot about them.
Anyway, final point with bands not putting out enough effort is not playing enough shows.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of bands get discouraged and stuff and will be like, oh, well, we just want to play once because, no one wants to come to their shows, but that's because their shows suck and they haven't made any effort to make their shows better.
They're treating it as a hobby and not as a job is probably what the main problem is.
How do you make your shows better? Having, literally, I'm sure you could have a promoter. Like, if you're friends with a promoter, I guarantee you that if you were like, hey, man, could you just watch our set next time you book us and just give us notes? They would do it. If they're antsy about it, offer them $50. Like seriously, because the promoter sees more bands than you and is going to be able to give you some meaningful advice. And he's like the point of entry to like music industry people most folks have. So, I used to do that with Starkill, and I do that with other bands all the time where I just take copious fucking notes on my phone and then go over them in a phone call the week after.
Mm-hmm.
So, put that effort in and it will come back to you and help you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other categories we're missing, Curtis?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm sure after we get off the podcast, I'll think of about another 20.
Of course.
Yeah.
But
we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. What do you have to plug?
Oh, a lot of stuff today. I got a whole bunch of stuff just released on Friday and more stuff releasing this week. But today, I have 3 premieres. I've got Ernia, who's going to be at Heavy Blog is Heavy around noon. Subterranean is streaming a new Owlmaker track right now. And then there's going to be another video from Dayglow Morning that's going to be at Riff Relevant later today. Not sure what time, but I got those 3 things. And I got a whole whackload of things scheduled for tomorrow and Thursday. It's a busy time of the year for me.
Yeah, shit's about to get crazy for everyone.
Already gotten crazy, and it's going to get fucking crazier. There was 152 releases last Friday, apparently.
Yeah, so fucking prepare your body.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have Prophecy Fest coming up. Get fucking hype. It's going to be really good. We've got a couple cool surprises still yet to be announced. So,
Striper's playing.
Who's playing?
Oh, wait. Oh, wasn't Striper playing? Was I not supposed to announce that?
Striper is not playing Prophecy Fest.
That'd be awesome. That'd be hilarious.
I mean, that would be hilarious if we got Striper to play. But they're not. For better or for worse.
For worse, yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Come to Prophecy Fest.
Are we done yet?